Hello, I'm Esther Gitu-Ewart. It's Friday, July 7th. This is Africa 54. Hundreds of African migrants are stranded in dire conditions in a desert area of southern Tunisia after being expelled from the port city of Sfax. Many are trying to reach their embassies in Tunis, seeking help to return home. We'll have a report. 12 countries in Africa will receive 18 million doses of malaria vaccine over the next 2 years, expanding access to 9 new countries. And in our entertainment report, a rising Cameroonian music artist Gomez Oba talks to VOA Red Carpet's Jackson Mvunganyi about his young musical career and aspirations to spread peace and unity in his country. All this and much more coming up on today's Africa 54. We begin our broadcast in North Africa, where Human Rights Watch is calling on Tunisia to halt collective expulsions of Sub-Saharan African migrants and urgently enable access to humanitarian services for those the government sent to a dangerous area of the Tunisia-Libya border. Paul Ndiho has more.
Racial tensions in Sfax have flared into violence targeting migrants from Sub-Saharan Africa, with dozens are fleeing the city or being evicted. These videos show hundreds of African migrants stranded in a desert area of southern Tunisia on Thursday after being expelled from the port city of Sfax.
For the past 3 days, we've been at odds with the police and the tramps in the neighborhoods. People say that Africans set fire to a house and killed someone, but who killed? We don't know. Who set the fire? We don't know. All Tunisians say is it's the Africans.
The unrest erupted after the funeral of a 41-year-old Tunisian man stabbed to death Monday in Sfax in an altercation between local residents and migrants. 3 suspects were arrested, all from Cameroon.
If the Tunisian authorities take us from here to transport us to Libya in the desert, we don't know that place. There is no water or food there. We don't know that place. That's not good. So I am here today to go to the embassy of Guinea.
Members of the civil society are bringing food and water to migrants from Sub-Saharan Africa who are targeted by an outbreak of violence.
What happened to them is not humane. When we spoke to them, they told us they had been attacked and women had been raped. Their money was stolen. And we got together as a civil society organization. We bought water and food, and we came to distribute it to them.
Tunisia has seen a rise in racially motivated attacks after President Kais Saied in February accused hordes of undocumented migrants of bringing violence and alleging a criminal plot to change the country's demographic makeup. Aid groups say hundreds of migrants have been taken in buses to desert areas in southern Tunisia, some near the border with Libya and others close to the frontier with Algeria, 2 countries from which many migrants have crossed. Paul Ndiho, VOA News, Washington.
Police in Kenya were out in force on Friday as protesters took to the streets in answer to an opposition call to demonstrate over a raft of controversial tax hikes. The protests, dubbed Saba, meaning 7-7, are taking place on the 7th day of the 7th month. In the port city of Mombasa, security forces fired tear gas to break up protests as people chanted, "The struggle is not over." Veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga's Azimio Alliance called for anti-government protests over the impact of the new taxes on Kenyans already suffering from a severe cost of living crisis. President William Ruto last week signed into law a finance bill expected to generate more than $2.1 billion for the government and help relieve the heavily indebted economy. The Democratic Republic of Congo and South Africa are set to sign a security agreement as the DRC continues to grapple with insecurity in the east. Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi addressed a news conference on Thursday in the capital Kinshasa alongside his South African counterpart, President Cyril Ramaphosa.
These concerns for the security and stability of the Democratic Republic of Congo. So we really dwelt on this point, and he showed a keen desire to support the Democratic Republic of Congo. And we are even considering perhaps having bilateral agreements in addition to what exists at the level of the SADC on the subject of mutual support between states if one of them is under attack.
The idea that we should have a minerals commission which will assist all of us, particularly in SADC, to manage our minerals correctly so that they are not plundered by those from outside our region and continent, so that we establish policies so that we are able to attract investments.
The DRC has repeatedly accused its smaller neighbor Rwanda of backing the Tutsi-led M23, a charge Kigali denies. But the United States and several other Western countries, as well as independent UN experts, agree with the DRC's assessment. 12 countries in Africa would receive 18 million doses of malaria vaccine over the next 2 years, according to Global Vaccine Alliance Gavi. This will expand access to the shots to 9 new countries. Rachel Faber has more.
12 countries in Africa are to receive 18 million doses of the malaria vaccine over the next 2 years, expanding access to 9 countries that were previously not on the list. The World Health Organization announced the move on Wednesday in partnership with UNICEF and the Global Vaccine Alliance Gavi.
With the climate crisis, changing weather patterns, mosquitoes that carry this disease are increasing in density and spreading further afield. Malaria remains one of Africa's deadliest diseases.
Malaria kills nearly 500,000 children each year under the age of 5. The WHO says in 2021, Africa accounted for about 95% of global malaria cases and 96% of deaths. The RTSS vaccine is the world's first approved malaria shot. 1.7 million children in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi have been given the vaccine since 2019 as part of a pilot program. A new batch of shots is expected to roll out early next year in Benin, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Liberia, Niger, Sierra Leone, and Uganda. The WHO says at least 28 African countries have expressed interest in receiving the vaccine, and that if a second malaria vaccine that's currently under review is successful, it could provide additional supply in the short term.
Rachel Faber of Reuters filed that report. UN refugee agency UNHCR in Malawi this week repatriated 38 refugees from the country's only refugee camp, Dzaleka. The refugees offered to return home following the end of conflict in their respective countries. The voluntary repatriation comes as Malawi is forcibly relocating refugees who are staying outside a refugee camp to the overcrowded Dzaleka refugee camp, where refugees complain of living under dehumanizing conditions. The camp was established in 1994, designed to accommodate up to 12,000 refugees and asylum seekers. It now hosts more than 50,000 people.
I'm very excited because I'm returning back to my country. And back home, I used to farm, and that's what I'm going to do when I return. And I'm excited to meet my family again.
And this is the first cohort, as it were. There'll be more that will be assisted to go back to their lives in their home countries. So for us as government, this is a plus. You might want to appreciate the fact that when it comes to issues of refugee management, repatriation is one of the durable solutions for refugee management.
The town is heavily congested, and this is affecting all areas of protection for refugee life. There is not enough shelter, livelihood opportunities are limited, Even school infrastructure for children are not enough.
Those repatriated Wednesday are the first group of about 200 people, including those from Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, who have agreed to go back. Giraffes are considered an endangered species, and in Kenya, the population of the world's tallest animal is on the decline. Officials say 4 to 5 giraffes are being lost daily due to relentless poaching for meat and the harsh realities of climate change. Ahmed Hussein reports from Wajir County, Kenya.
At Sabuli Wildlife Conservancy in Kenya's Wajir County, a group of reticulated giraffes, also known as Somali giraffes, gather. Conservationists say the rare Somali giraffe found mainly in northern Kenya is trending toward extinction. They say there is a need to support community-led conservation efforts to ensure the survival of this threatened species.
It is going under very, very loud extinction because there is highly, giraffe at this moment is facing many threats. The biggest being poaching, commercialized poaching in Wajir County and beyond. It's also facing the effects of climate change, severe drought.
More than 70% of the giraffes in Kenya live on community land rather than national parks or game reserves. According to a 2021 National Wildlife Census report, there were nearly 20,000 Somali giraffes in Kenya, but conservationists warn the number is on the decline.
I believe the government and other partners should support community-led initiatives to conserve wildlife.
In a bid to protect the giraffes, officials from the Kenya Wildlife Service, KWS, have intensified anti-poaching patrols in the bush and at water points in rural areas.
Mostly giraffes are affected by subsistence and commercial poaching within Wajir, which has really affected. But as a service, we are doing all corners meets, and we will contain the menace.
This year, Kenya is celebrating its annual World Giraffe Day in Habaswein town. Conservationists and government officials have gathered here to educate the public on the importance of protecting wildlife. Experts warn the need is great.
We are creating awareness and sensitizing the community around Wajir on the relations and coexistence with the giraffes and any other wild animals that might be around and how they can benefit.
The giraffe in particular has historical and cultural significance, says Khalif Abdi Hirbate, the Wajir County Executive Committee member for Tourism and Wildlife.
It's our culture, it's our heritage, and we wish to protect it.
According to the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, giraffe numbers have plummeted by around 30% since the 1980s, and only 117,000 giraffes remain in the world. Conservationists like Sharmake remain hopeful that rural communities in Kenya will heed the call to protect the giraffe and other wildlife. Ahmed Hussein for VOA News, Wajir, Kenya.
NATO allies are preparing for their annual two-day summit on July 11th and 12th in Vilnius, Lithuania, as Ukraine urges the alliance to fast-track its proposed membership. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg confirmed Tuesday that he will extend his term for another year as the West seeks to maintain unity amid Russia's aggression. Henry Ridgwell reports.
Ukraine formally applied to join NATO in September in response to Russia's proclaimed annexation of territories it invaded in the east of the country. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for NATO to fast-track his country's application at next week's summit.
At the Vilnius summit, we need a very concrete and clear signal that Ukraine could become, and has the right to become, an equal member of NATO after the war.
Ukraine's demand has the backing of several NATO members, including Britain, Poland and the Baltic states.
There is a need to just create the corridor, procedures, algorithms, how to proceed if the war is over, or as we call, as conditions allow.
But some NATO allies, notably the United States and Germany, have not yet endorsed fast-tracking Ukraine's membership. There are questions such as how would NATO's Article 5 on collective self-defense apply to a country at war with Russia. Fabrice Potier, a former NATO director of policy planning.
You could imagine an agreement where Article 5 will only apply to the non-contested or the free Ukrainian territory, those under the control of Kiev, whilst those that are still contested, either by military means or politically, diplomatically, will be left outside the purview of Article 5. So I think this is a more realistic scenario, but this is exactly why I think the argument is to say, let's start that process in Vilnius.
NATO allies will also try to agree on a new investment pledge to spend at least 2% of their annual gross domestic product on defence, amid concerns some members are failing to meet the target. Meanwhile, Sweden's application to join NATO, submitted jointly with Finland in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, continues to be blocked by Turkey, which accuses Stockholm of harbouring what Ankara sees as Kurdish terrorists. Allies are hoping for a breakthrough at the summit. NATO recognised China as a challenge to its security and values for the first time at last year's summit. Western allies are unlikely to change that stance, says Potier.
However, I think what will be important in Vilnius is the meeting with the non-NATO heads of states from the Indo-Pacific regions, South Korea, Japan, New Zealand, and Australia, which I think will signal further how engaged the alliance is, at least at the political level, with the like-minded partners in the region.
NATO allies will also address new and emerging threats, including climate change, cyber and space technologies. Henry Richwell for VOA News, London.
Let us know what you think about Africa 54 and all our VOA Africa programs on our website at voaafrica.com. Still to come, a rising Cameroon music artist, Gomez Oba, talks to VOA Red Carpet's Jackson Mvunganyi about his musical career and message in his music. Stay tuned.
Obstetric fistula is one of the most serious and dangerous injuries pregnant women go through during childbirth. Although it's completely preventable, World Health Organization says more than 2 million young women live with untreated obstetric fistula in Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. On this week's episode of Our Voices, we will explore the causes of fistula and its impact on the physical, social, and mental well-being of women. Join the conversation each week right here on Our Voices.
You're watching VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Mvunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us each week right here on Red Carpet. We bring you the latest in
In other African news, Sudan's conflict between military factions has caused a surge in cases of rape and the abduction of women and girls, some as young as 12. Aid agencies Save the Children and the United Nations said on Friday that teenage girls are being sexually assaulted and raped by armed combatants in alarming numbers. South Africa's Telkom said on Friday it had rejected an offer led by its former CEO to buy a majority stake in the country's third biggest telecoms company, sending its shares down 7%. Last month, Telkom confirmed it had received an unsolicited offer led by former CEO Sipho Maseko and the South African government employees' pension fund to buy a substantial stake in the partly government-owned telecoms firm. And sports star and Paris Saint-Germain forward Kylian Mbappe is touring his father's native Cameroon for the first time this week as doubts swell over his future at the French club. Excited fans gathered at the airport in the capital Yaoundé, where the 24-year-old star touched down on Thursday for a 3-day tour of the Central African nation. Bape said it is an honor to be in the country of his origin with his family and to see the people out there. Now put your dancing shoes and let's go Pansula. We take you to South Africa where we meet Tato Kofela, who first performed Pansula in his childhood backyard. Now he is helping to revive the dance style as a form of social expression. VOA's Anthony Labruto has the story.
Pansula, a quick-stepping, energetic, and syncopated dance, originated among black youth in townships like Tato Kofela's Katlehong under South Africa's apartheid government. Since South Africa's system of racial segregation ended in 1994, it's become an expression of social and political resistance. For Kofela, Pansula was more than just entertainment. It helped him stay out of trouble while growing up in Katlehong, where the riots against the apartheid government were a regular part of his life.
Young kids are just sitting, doing nothing. Then they get bored. They get hooked to drugs and alcohol. So I'm trying to prevent that sort of thing because there was a lot of crime those times, and even those drugs were there, you see.
Kofela hopes to inspire the next generation of dancers to stay out of trouble and channel their energy towards changing problems in their community. Pansula's choreography, including movements mimicking sweeping, playing dice, and saluting, meditated on black South Africans' everyday experiences and provided a code that performers could use to communicate in a way state police couldn't understand.
I'm happy that it's being revived now, that the youth will take some cognizance and their township life and see how the township life goes. And it's something that they could actually put their activism, their youth activism, and know where do they come from.
Kofela and his dance troupe also use Pansula as a way of healing and meditation.
In general, it has allowed me to explore what life is. It had allowed me to explore things that I face in life, and I'm able to actually express it via dance and Pansula, obviously. And also dancing with feet, there's this thing about your feet being, there's some sort of healing that happens when you are dancing with your feet. So there's that thing that happens. So for me, it's been a healing journey.
Katlehong is driving a revival in Pansula, not only in South Africa, but also in Europe, with shows in France, the Netherlands, and Portugal. Anthony Labruto, VOA News.
It's time for Entertainment Report, and joining us now is Music Time in Africa Radio program host Heather Maxwell. Take it away, Heather.
Hey, Esther. Hello, everybody. Gomez Oba is one of the rising stars of Cameroon's music industry, whose music's been embraced by fans across West Africa and in the diaspora. On his recent U.S. tour, Gomez joined Red Carpet's Jackson Mvunganyi in studio to talk about his young musical career and his aspirations to help spread peace and unity in his country.
Gomez Oba, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yo, so how are you liking the U.S. so far?
It's beautiful,
yeah,
chill, nice. I'm so happy.
So what are you doing? Are you here for promotion? Are you on a tour?
Yeah, I'm here for a tour and promotion too.
Okay.
But basically, I'm here to do like a tour.
Around the U.S.?
Yeah.
Now, you have a big fan base here? You're growing fan base.
I have a growing fan base,
yes,
but I have like a big fan base too. So,
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. First of all, I mean, I like your drip. Looking good.
Thank you.
Yes. So talk to us about your music. What kind of music do you do?
Afrobeats, because I have like a Nigerian background too. Yeah, so it's mostly Afrobeats, but mixed with a little bit of Makossa. I mostly sing about like life challenges, sometimes just good vibes for people to dance and have fun. Like about, I love to appreciate the women. I love also
the ladies.
The ladies.
Yes.
I love also to like talk about like my struggle, where I'm from, to inspire people. Like.
And where you? So you're from Cameroon, but where exactly in Cameroon are you from?
I'm from the southwest region of Cameroon. Yeah, where we have a lot going on.
Yeah, tell us about that area.
Now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful region. We speak English. And you know Cameroon is like bilingual,
Yes.
but there's an English region of Cameroon. And we have
any specific cities that...
We have like cities like Boya, where I'm from, big ups to Boya, Kumba, Bamenda. And we have what everybody knows is going on in Cameroon right now. My people are actually going through a lot. And so we're just like, I'm just happy that I'm using music somehow to like ease them, like for them to forget a little bit, and because they are really suffering.
Right, so there's a continuing conflict in Cameroon between Francophone and Anglophone, and you're hoping that your music kind of eases the tension.
Yeah, it's actually doing that, and we pray and we hope like it should end. Like, we want to be happy.
Absolutely. What is the role of music in society, in your area, for example?
Very powerful. Music is very powerful. Music is very, like, music, mood, it changes moods, like, it could, it educates, understand? Music also, like, bro, music is like a safe haven for a lot of people that are going through distress and in life in general. So I believe music is so big, like, so important.
What kind of changes would you like to see in the Cameroonian music industry?
Man, I want everybody should have the freedom to do the type of music they want to do, because in my country, it's like there's a campaign going on of, like, you understand? So I want people to be free to do music that they like, music that I mean, like, generally African music that we all know, like the Afrobeat. You can do that in your own language, French or English, but I want Cameroonians to know that they should be focused more on, like, the music, not who or language. It should be the music.
I like that.
Yeah.
Music that speaks to your experience.
Yeah.
And focusing on the song and the music and the message.
Vibe.
Instead of focusing
on
the artist and where they come from. Because I understand there's the political dimension to it, especially when you come from a country where there's
bilingual.
All right, thank you, Jackson. And that's it for entertainment today. Esther, back to you.
Thank you so much, Heather. Be sure to join Heather Maxwell's Entertainment Reports every Friday right here on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. We invite you to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.